Thank you guys for joining me. I'm here today with the crew from Jabberwock Collective, Jeremy, Ellis, Claudia Allard, and Zane Neal. How are you guys today?
Good.
Good.
Yes. All right. So we're going to have a bit of a conversation and talk to each other and me about all things mental health and the new record that's coming out. I wanted to just first of all ask, how did you guys meet?
Okay, I'm saying it. Okay, so we all met at the Conservatorium of Music in Brisbane. We all started in 2014.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
if you speak to one of our other friends in the cohort, we are the JFs, which is Jazz Firsts. Shout out to Tiffany Massessi. And we spent about 4 to 5 years together.
Wow.
It was a time.
Yeah.
I didn't know the F meant first, by the way. I only just found that out now.
It does.
I never had any idea what that meant. I was just like, yeah, sure thing. But like, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, there was a dude who went to uni with us whose name is Tip, essentially, and he's like a 7'12" like ex bouncer from and he tattooed on his arms what was it, Samoan and like and something else on the other one.
Yeah,
Samoan and Maori, because every time he went to America he said people kept mistaking him for a Mexican. What? I was just like, yeah, and it's just like he's always telling stories like that, and you always just respond with, yeah, Tip.
And so what? This man brought the whole thing together.
Tip is very
communal.
He loves people and he loves family and making everyone a part of his life, and he just started up Jazz Firsts because we were, I guess we're Jazz First as in that 2014
the first people to ever play jazz in the history of the human race. We made it, we created it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I love that. So how did the Jabberwocky come about then?
I think that was like at the conservatorium you have to do you want to do like ensembles and all that sort of stuff. So I think at the time a few people were getting together, and I think actually what sparked it, like I wanted to do my own thing or like make a band basically anyways, but I actually saw Claudia like play with Emma Dean. It was Emma Dean, right?
It was I was in that Concord group with Claire and Tiff.
Yeah, and I was sitting there with Piz and Nico Lachlan, and I remember me and Piz looking at each other being like, oh yeah, we gotta make something with her sort of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much how it sort of started. Well, for me anyway. Kind of. Yeah.
I love that. And so you guys have done like a number of tracks together already, and we've got some new ones coming out. Do you want to tell me about Free and Agnes, which are the ones that are currently kind of being trickled through?
Yeah, Jeremy, you talk about Free first.
Cool. Okay, so basically Free was a weird one for me because I woke up at sort of 2 o'clock in the morning with a piano riff going in my head. I actually made myself get up out of bed and go to my piano. I don't really play piano. We all play piano a little bit, but not really, kind of thing. So I made myself figure out the riff and record it so I wouldn't forget it. And basically that's how it started off. And I think at the time I had sort of a bit of a falling out, I guess, with a good friend sort of thing. So that was kind of the vibe of it, like falling out with friends, and I guess somehow how sometimes relationships dissolve and you have to move on. And that's basically the vibe of what I was going for with the feel, I guess, of it.
Yeah, and then he sent the song to me and said, I want it to be around that vibe of falling out with a friend. And I was like, well, that's perfect because I've just had a falling out with my friend who I was friends with since high school.
Wow.
And then I wrote the song, but I actually had a lot of struggles with the song. and
I
being
fell out of my bed.
That's traumatizing. I understand.
Yeah. Not traumatizing enough to actually put on the song though. So wait, Free. I don't think I'm actually on Free, am I?
I know. I feel bad.
Yeah, no.
It was one of
No,
those-
because I don't think you're on it because we sent it to you and you said it's too slow.
Yeah, I know. I definitely did say that.
Yeah, you
or
definitely
something to that effect.
Yeah.
Is this how the process usually works? Is it one of you starts and has like the foundation of an idea and then sends it to another and another?
Yeah, pretty
Well,
much.
either way, like usually one of us will have the concept and then I'll sort of arrange it. Obviously, these guys always do the
The
lyrics.
second person to have the song, if Jeremy hasn't arranged it, is Jeremy.
Yeah, puts it together. But I did with Free, like I do have to say Claudia does and Zane does very well. Because I do some pretty off time signatures sometimes. And Claudia has already mentioned she hates there's a 7/8 verse, or I think of it as a verse to Free, which I think a lot of people would find quite challenging to sing over, and she did a good job. So
Yeah. My role in the group is pretty much to just sit around and complain about the fact that Jeremy doesn't write absolutely everything at 90 BPM.
Well, I'm getting better with that. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not as stubborn as I make myself out to be. Jeremy wanted shit in 3/4 and I was like 3/4. But like Jeremy wanted like 3/4 bars and I'm still what do you say, like blossoming in terms of the flower that is rap, so like it's nice getting thrown challenges that aren't just like really typical, easy things to work with. Instead I have to like push myself a bit, which is nice.
And so in your individual parts that you do, does it come naturally, or is it other than what Jeremy writes, is it a bit of a challenge sometimes, or does your rapping come quite naturally to you?
I don't think it I think I'll be alright at the point at which rapping for me comes as naturally as singing does for Claudia, but at the moment I still feel like I'm playing catch up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Children are the worst at being honest, and I always play my songs to my kids and they love Zane's parts in the songs. So they haven't said anything brutal and they are brutal. So
You're a
You've
teacher,
got-
aren't you, Claudia?
yeah, I teach at BNU High School.
Yeah, I love that. Now, how about
I'm
you,
like-
Jeremy? Does it come naturally?
It depends. Hey, like I used to start like back in the day before it was actually this thing that we're doing now. Like I would always start off with a bass line. Now I kind of don't necessarily, and sometimes I actually have to teach my own bass lines back to myself because I'm writing them on software more. Yeah, it's getting more natural. I think things are getting more streamlined. Like Claudia has always been like brilliant, and Zane's really, I don't know, like I'm noticing Zane's actually a keyboardist, like a piano player. Like he's fucking amazing at keys, and rap is something he's only been doing not really that long, seriously. But I've noticed even in like the last couple of years, like his raps are just getting sick, like sicker and sicker. So it's awesome.
I think I'm just listening to a lot more now,
Who do you listen to, Zane? Who are your rap inspiration artists?
Off the top of my head, Decker is a huge one. I've already done drunken rants to Jeremy about the miracle that is Decker.
I've been listening to Decker. It's cool. He's cool.
I have no idea who that is. Keep going until I recognize one.
Okay. Do you want me to like just pick one that you'd know right off the bat?
Okay, go. Yeah.
Biggie Smalls.
Okay. Yeah.
That dude is just obviously, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of, you do have a little bit of like how in jazz you've got people always harping on about like the greats, quote unquote. Like you get that in rap as well, particularly with the whole Biggie Pac like dynamic and whatnot. And other stuff. But yeah, I only got into this stuff as an adult, whereas I've been playing piano since I was a kid. So it's like what you were saying about kids as well, like with teaching and whatnot, is as an adult, it's kind of harder to pick up new skills because you're more aware of how bad you are at it. Whereas kids, like, they just don't live in that world. You know what I mean? You can just pick anything up and like start banging away at it, which is, you know, cool. But it's something I wish I could like retain into my adult life.
You can just do it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I suppose, like, you know, it's there is that whole like no, like, don't care about what other people think and whatnot, which is very well and good, but like you could, I suppose, like anything in too much of a degree is like unhealthy, if that makes sense. So I try to walk personally the line of like caring enough about what other people think that I'm still you know, sane and operate in a sane way in society, and also like, you know, not letting other people's thoughts inhibit what I do. Claudia, you would actually make a really good rapper now that I think about it, because you have the like that inner fire for it, and like the whole fuck the world thing.
Yeah, but have you? Okay, so you're gonna laugh at this.
Yeah.
But I have two really favorite rappers. One is Kanye. Like, I absolutely, even his new stuff. He's got this new song out at the moment. I think it's the Moon one. And like, he just keeps on saying like all this shit that's like attacking people, and then after it's like, and I just love that. Like, that guy doesn't care what anyone thinks, even though he is like a psychopath.
That's legit though. That's a whole aspect to it, is just like the attitude that someone brings, right? You know what I mean? That's a huge part of rap, is just feeling someone's attitude. And I feel like if you rapped and you like put your attitude into it, it would just be like mammoth. You know what I mean? Like absolutely unstoppable.
I love that. Who else? Give me your other people that you're listening to at the moment, or who's inspiring you.
Greeley, MC Greeley, and also Dundee. Is it cool if I just like do a bunch of Australian rappers? Not because seriously, like we don't get like, I think people in Australia would probably do well to pay more attention to what goes on in their own country when it comes to this sort of thing, because there's too many dudes in Australia that get into rap and all they listen to is American stuff, and so you can hear it because when they start rapping, they've got American accents. I did that when I started. It's real bad. We've all got yank bars in our head. Like all of us, but Dundee, Greeley, and who else? There's like All Day is pretty fun as well. I like him. I think had that thing on Sway.
One of his songs I know really well. What about 360? Do you listen to him?
Yeah, 360's got really cool stuff as well. It's really interesting with 360 because you can see the journey he's gone through from like, you know, young and like the whole world belongs to me and I can do whatever I want, to like, then I suppose like he's really kind of been through a bit more stuff lately and has had to like emotionally mature in a way that looks like it's been pretty a bit of a rocky road. And so now that kind of like comes out a bit more in his work, which is really interesting. You know, he's almost got a bit of that hero's journey thing, except it didn't like end particularly happily for him from what I can see. I know that's rough to say, particularly publicly, but like, you know, but he's not done, like, and it's cool. But yeah, 360, Cursor as well, because Cursor with the whole fuck Triple J thing is just iconic. Oh, dude.
That's an interesting topic.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, you know what I mean? It is interesting. Like, he's an interesting dude, you know, and I'm not huge on the whole Eshe culture thing, but like, it doesn't mean that I can't appreciate aspects of what other people do.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Jeremy, I've always wondered, man, where the hell does your actual writing influence come from? Because I know that you're into like using like slightly more esoteric scales and stuff, and like as like a lot of the basosphere harmonic stuff, like harmonic work.
I guess I listen to a lot of like weird stuff. It's like I think Primus, Radiohead, bit of Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
Geez, who? I guess tech. I listen to a fair bit of tech metal, just generic tech metal, which is probably where the time signatures come in.
Yeah.
Shannon Kelly was quite into a lot of that sort of stuff as well. It's pretty cool.
Shout outs to Pending.
Yeah. And Tigran, I listen to a lot of Tigran for a while there, which is where some of that kind of like the darker stuff probably comes for, like that da-dum, da 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 da-dum sort of shit. You know, I love that. Yeah.
You chart everything out, hey?
Yeah, I hate having to do it, but it's just with that many people.
I don't have to.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
right. I mean, horns, they can't, you have to. If we were all together and we had sort of jams happening all the time and everyone was sort of as focused, I guess, then they could probably write their own parts. But then still, you've got to have some sort of coherence somewhere, right?
Mm.
I don't know.
No, I really feel that, man. There's been a lot that's actually been surprisingly great for me during the pandemic, but one of the things I'm really upset about it killing in music for me is just jam culture, you know? Like
How has the
good
pandemic
healthy jam
affected-
sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. How has the pandemic affected your music making?
Well, it's actually been really good for it, hey. Because
Good stories to come out of the pandemic are always it's encouraging to hear.
yeah, look, I'm becoming more of a proponent for the whole like sort of pushing back against the whole don't talk about your income, blah 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 blah, because I have a really smart housemate, and this is the kind of thing I thought I'd only ever hear like stoners say, but he was like, nah man, it's like a full capitalist suppression tactic to like make people feel taboo about talking about how much they earn, so that, you know, people don't have a good point of reference like for what they do and how much money they should get for it, and people are more likely to undervalue themselves, which, like, you know what I mean, whatever, blah blah blah, some kind of crap like that I don't understand. But he's smart, and I was like, oh shit, so it's legit. So, you know, it's been great for my music because I stopped working in hospitality and you know, basically got like universal basic income for a limited period of time, special on offer, and was like, well, I have nothing to do with my time now except whatever I want. And so instead of just, you know, wasting it away, I was like, hell yeah. And so I wrote a shit ton of music and started streaming.
How about you, Claudia?
Well, I mean, I don't struggle writing music at the best of times anyway. But whenever Jeremy sends me something, I feel like I get him a song back in a reasonable amount of time. But I do want to start back up. I used to do this songwriting club where you pay money. It's like $50 for 10 weeks. And then you have to write a song in an hour every week and upload it to this program, and people listen to it and they give you feedback and all of that. So I've been wanting to start that, but we've just bought a house and I've just moved and things are crazy. So that's my next step.
That's your next step. What about you, Jeremy? How's the pandemic affected your songwriting?
It's been annoying, I guess, for me, because I like to jam, and I guess like I've got a few other bands where the gigs have been cancelled. I get everyone's getting that, all musicians are getting that at the moment. But just sort of frustrating was getting things organized for like sessions and videos and that sort of thing, I guess, and making things happen more. Yeah, or even just like we all want to gig this as a band, but just sort of the stability of the climate to make that happen, with Zane sort of having to fly up and hopefully not get stuck one day. He's been stuck like twice already, you know. So.
So you're coming from Melbourne, aren't you, Zane?
No, I'm coming from an hour out of Melbourne, but yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, so I'm technically in rural Victoria at the moment.
Yeah, and both Jeremy and Claudia, you guys are both in Queensland, right?
Yeah, Brisbane.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So just slightly backtrack. Can you tell me about Agnes?
Yeah, so I wrote that song years ago. I reckon 2017 maybe, in that songwriting club program that I was talking about before. And the song is about anxiety. So Agnes is like a metaphorical person that is anxiety. And I'm basically just asking her to be kind and look out for me and not be cruel and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, so let's talk a little bit more about mental health. What has been your experiences with and your struggles with mental health, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no. So I grew up not really understanding what mental health was because it honestly never affected me. It did affect my dad. My dad suffers from depression, but I just kept living my life not really understanding it. And then the only type of mental health I've really gone through is anxiety. And I would have severe like panic attacks and issues. Like, you know, when you get your butterflies because you're worried about something that's coming up. Well, I used to get those, but like hectic, and they would turn into like pins and needles in my whole body. And that's and Agnes is really the only song I've written regarding that.
Yeah. And so did writing the music and writing music help process some of those emotions, or does music, you know, is it just an outlet to share with other people, or does it help actually process?
Yeah, definitely a bit of both. So yeah, I'm interested to see what Agnes will do, how she will do.
Yeah, no, I like that. What about you, Jeremy? How does music affect or help you process your experiences with mental health?
I don't know. I find like I sort of grown up with a sort of manic depressive dad, and I kind of got like, I guess outing myself, but like with borderline personality disorder like about a year ago, and had a bunch of stuff going on with basically a lot of interpersonal relationship stuff. I didn't understand what I was doing, or why certain things were happening. And music is pretty good for focusing. It's kind of a mindfulness thing almost.
Yeah.
So you're sort of focusing on that thing, and it's, I guess, cathartic in a way because you can get emotion out, particularly with some really heavy driven bass lines, like so not really loud sort of thing. So it's kind of good for getting that stuff out. And I did just sort of recently think like a lot of the musos I know have had struggles with mental health. It sort of seems to go with the territory a bit, It's, I guess, just there can be a lot of pressure. Like, I know going through the con, like I used to enjoy, this sounds bad, I used to enjoy playing music just for itself before I went through the con. But even now, like, there's this sort of am I doing this good enough because everyone else is good and they're all judging what I'm playing every note kind of a vibe, I guess, that I'm sort of trying to put away. How do you guys feel about that? Like,
Are you saying that as in like everyone at the con is judging you that had been there?
Well, yeah, not so much anyone in our year group, but just generally, like, say if you play a gig at Dubop or go to a jam night or something with a bunch of jazz musos there that have sort of involved with that, JMI or the con, you've just got that kind of pressure because you know that they're trained well and you want to, I don't know, impress or pass the bar or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure that you put on yourself.
Yeah.
I think so. I think you put that pressure on yourself.
Well, it is. It's a thing. It's not necessarily like people do judge you, but how you kind of relate to that judgment is something within yourself.
Whether you take it positively or negatively.
Exactly. You don't actually have to sort of, that's one of the things I've been learning the last year. You don't actually have to take that on board. You don't have to care what other people think.
Yeah, there's a strange tension between wanting to impress, listeners and people who do absorb or, inhale your music, and then also not wanting to take to heart the feedback that you're given? Like, how do you manage that? How does anyone manage that?
That's a balance. I don't know. Balance. What do you think, Zane? Give me some words.
I mean, when I think about it, man, it kind of feels like maybe there's a like in a lot of things that we don't like, especially in society, there's often a level of necessity to them. When you look at it, that kind of, I think, maybe gets blown out of proportion sometimes, and that's where a lot of negative experiences come from. So it's like, in music, you do have to keep an eye out for people that you can hire for gigs, right? You know what I mean? You go to a jam session, you see someone who can play good and like, or has really good sight reading or has some particular quality, right? And then you look out for people like that, because then when you have a gig that involves a lot of sight reading, you can be like, I know a guy for this, you know? And so on some level, we're all aware that we need to be putting our best foot forwards in just about every situation, even if it's only supposed to be a casual one, because on some level, everyone's looking out for another person that they can work with, you know what I mean? And so that level of pressure is just about always there. And it's not just there in how you play in the music industry, it's in how you actually interact with people, because like you won't just get a gig because you're a good musician, you'll get a gig because you're someone who's really fun to drink with after a gig, or someone who's really, really nice to like have a chat to when you're like on a smoke break in between sets or something, you know what I mean? Like there's always that pressure of like, you know, even when you're not performing, you're still kind of performing in a way. I don't know. I mean, that last bit is probably a little bit more personal to me, given that I have like ADHD and like a spectrum disorder crap. So it's like, you know what I mean? I've always got to be a bit on the wavelength of like analyzing things a little too much. But like I feel like there's probably some level of truth in that. I don't know.
I relate to that totally. Yeah. Like, I think sort of finding, like for me, like getting into new original bands, like my approach is going to be kind of going to those places in an open way and just, I guess, trying to vibe with the people who are on the same vibe as you, so that you know, it is kind of just a natural, authentic thing, rather than trying to sort of be something. Like for me personally, it's something I'm not, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there's a little bit of a game to it sometimes, but like, you know, as with all things, like small amounts of pressure can build up over time, especially if they come from a lot of different places, into like something really big, but also a bit more difficult to kind of put your finger on, if that makes sense. And the music industry is very, very nuanced when it comes to like how you actually get work. That's why so many people like make a living out of talking about how to make a living out of the music industry, because it can be that obtuse sometimes, you know?
Yeah, and so for yourself, Zane, how have you managed the kind of balance and the tension between making music and mental health struggles?
I haven't. Like I'm in therapy at the moment, man. You know, I just recently finally got around to getting myself re-diagnosed as an adult for ADHD and stuff. So I've started medication for that. And I've kind of just like flipped a lot of my life upside down, and because you know I reached a point where I had to admit to myself that I just frankly wasn't balancing those two things at all, you know, and that, like, you know, I feel like I had good reasons for doing that in retrospect, but it doesn't change the fact that things needed to change. So here I am, you know.
And now that you've done it, has it helped?
Yeah, I reckon everyone should do therapy, even if they don't think they need it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good thing to do, especially if if you can access someone who's actually a good therapist, you know? Yeah, that's about all you can do, really, is just like, not just like learn to work on yourself, but learn to want to work on yourself, because it actually leads to benefit in your life that is tangible.
Yeah. And so the music industry in itself, we touched a little bit on this, but do you think it, in all of your opinions, do you think it helps or hinders kind of mental health struggles?
Completely hinders, man.
Really reckon? I reckon it can be a good creative outlet, but then
that's music itself, the actual business of it, man. In Australia, come on, look at how the government treats funding for the arts here. We're literally part of the same sector as fucking public transport now or something.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, like in what world is a government that filters down in a lot of ways to a society that puts that kind of value on what we do going to be in any way good for our mental health?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I spent like 17 years working so hard to do something well that, like, you know, if I was a bloody like chippy or something, or an electrician, I'd be making bucks off it, and people, well, actually no, there's problems in trade work as well when people like undervalue you and shit. But you know what I mean? I feel like it's particularly bad in music.
Yeah,
There's plenty of other professions that could easily argue the same thing. Like vets probably have it far worse, in my opinion. But like, it's still just, you know, something that in society I don't think is valued as much as it should be. And that kind of leads to how we value ourselves in a kind of a way sometimes.
Yeah.
There'll be people that'll disagree with that, but I think on some small level it might be true, like in a broader sense than we give it credit for.
The lack of resources for mental health support, and like particularly creatives and musicians, because I think the statistics on musicians especially, and you know, mental disorders like depression and suicide rates are pretty staggering. So
Yeah, I mean, if you want to use like suicide rates as a way, as like a gauge for how taxing a profession could be on like the human mind, then I would say, yeah, music is probably pretty rife with it. As far as I'm aware, last I checked, from what I understand, sorry for breaching the same point twice, but like vets, I think, have it probably the worst. I'm pretty sure they have like close to the highest, if not the highest, like rate of suicide out of any profession in this country.
Oh, like what? Are you talking about like veterinarians?
Yeah, veterinarians.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why?
It's such a rough job, man. Like people so often, like, I mean, look, I'm a little biased. Maybe my a good long time friend of mine is a vet. Also, my little sister is like finishing up a degree in veterinary science. But like a lot of people don't realize that veterinary work like requires all of the same medical, like pretty much like all of the same medical equipment that costs the same amount of money as like normal human medicine. But because it's being done on their dog, they're like, what do you mean it costs like $2,000, you know? And they get angry and then they shoot the messenger over that. And it's just like a very thankless job with a lot of stress and like not nearly as much money as anyone seems to think there is in it. But yeah.
yeah, I could see it being a quite a heartbreaking profession.
I'm gonna write a rap verse about it one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, veterinarians aside, the music industry in itself, and you know, you all have to have kind of jobs on the side or ways to make money on the side. So how is the music work life balance for each of you with the music industry?
We're all very different, I think, in how we're doing it. Like, I'm sort of I've got a day job, like a healthcare day job, but I'm sort of, to be honest, I've procrastinated it, probably because of some mental health stuff for a while, but I am transitioning. And the idea for me is I've got a couple of covers bands now, and yeah, a lot of people don't like covers bands, but corporate and cover work to sort of make some money. I want to teach a bunch of students, and I want to play, you know, write with these guys, write original stuff, maybe play in a couple more original bands as well, and sort of balance it that way. I don't know, I haven't done sort of the calculations of how many students or covers gigs I would need to actually quit my day job completely, but yeah, that's my sort of probably goal. I might do my master's in music just to make, you know, if you can do that, then you can sort of teach in tertiary institutions. I was thinking of doing classroom teaching, like that's Claudia's story. Like, go ahead, Claudia.
Oh yeah, well I quickly found out that I was never going to make any money being a musician. So that's when I did my first step into the education system. And then as soon as I did my first prac, I was like, oh my fucking God, I love this. This is what I want to do. And I just followed that route. And this is where I am now. But I keep saying, because I love music, like honestly, all I do is music. Go to school, do music, come home, listen to music, write music, record music, do a music video. Like all my kids are like, Miss, you're wasting your time. Why are you here? You should be doing other things music related, and I said, yeah, but I'm not going to make as near as what I make teaching you guys than doing what I would be doing with everyone else. So I would love to keep stepping my way up in the education system, and I keep telling my parents, I'm like, I'm going to be a principal one day. So that's the goal at the end.
That's awesome.
And what about yourself, Zane? How is the work-life music balance for you? Is it real?
Well, I mean, I've worked in hospitality for about a decade now, and got pretty burnt out doing that. And then, like I said before, I quit for good reasons, like, you know what I mean? Good reasons. I didn't just like quit because there was Centrelink available because of the pandemic and like was like, well, you know, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? Like I worked like into the pandemic, and it wasn't until I genuinely like couldn't keep going that I quit my job. Yeah. But then now since then I've basically been on Centrelink for like, you know, since then. Yeah. So my work-life balance is fantastic at the moment because there is no work. To be honest, I probably wouldn't be able to get any. I'm down in Victoria and we've been in lockdown for a while now, like on and off so much, and so many businesses have shut down. Of like so many small businesses have been like completely screwed over and like dead and gone. You know, it's just like employment's not as much of a thing at the moment down here anyway. So yeah, pretty good balance at the moment. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Before that, like, you know, my work-life balance just led to me not being able to work anymore, essentially. Yeah. And I'm working on fixing that so I can go back to working. Yeah. I've, you know, other than that, a little bit of teaching and whatnot, you know. That's about it. Yeah. Oh, and so, Twitch. I've earned money off Twitch. That's technically work. Sorry. Yeah.
That is technically work.
Twitch is like a streaming platform that I do music on for, you know, extra money and whatnot.
It has like a live audience and stuff. It's
okay. Do you think that makes a lot of money?
I mean, it's made me $750 so far. You know, and that's for like probably about like circa 250 hours worth of time spent like actually streaming and like playing music and talking to people and stuff. But there's been like upsides to it. At some points I've like literally had the opportunity to play to like thousands of people at one singular point in time, which is a much more difficult thing to do in Brisbane in like an actual live setting. You know, I've never played a gig to like 3,500 people in like quota. I really don't want to say IRL right now, but like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you think that's the way that the music industry is going to go? Is you're going to play a lot more digital shows to people because there's the demand and the audience for it? Or do you think live music will always have a place?
Look, I mean, I'm not on like Aldous Huxley levels of like predict the future yet. But you know, but like, to be honest, I think live music will probably hold its own for a bit longer. I know there's a lot of people that say that music will be the final domain of humankind when it comes to professional work, and that it'll be the hardest thing for an AI to, you know, to create better than us is art, right? Which is unfortunately already quickly becoming not the case. There's AI is actually getting pretty good at making music and stuff, so you know, I think we're screwed either way.
Oh my god.
You know, I don't think it's so much a question of like, will music be more online than in real life? I think it's more a question of will we be doing it at all? You know,
it's kind of interesting with the new Matrix movie coming out. Like,
there's a new Matrix movie coming out.
Yeah, there's another Matrix coming out, and I'm just thinking that the machines have taken over. So I wonder how the machines go.
Is it Keanu?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Keanu.
Okay, cool. Wait, and do we get Trinity?
Yep.
Yeah, but do we just get the whole cast?
Well, I'm sorry. I know this is a tangent. I knew this would happen. I'm sorry, but they replaced Morpheus.
No, really?
Yes,
Why?
really.
Why did they have to?
Apparently, there's a reason. Apparently
Okay, is
there's
the
a
actor dead or something?
reason.
No.
I think so.
No, he's well then. Okay, well what
I
could
assume there's like a in-story reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all
Like,
right.
not
So
just-
it's basically more like instead of damsel in distress, it's Morpheus in distress. I'll watch that movie 100%. Princess Morpheus is right up my alley.
Princess Morpheus.
Funny.
Sounds like anime.
Dude, I'm pretty sure they already made Anime Matrix, but
Yeah, the Animatrix.
oh my god, it's actually called Animatrix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my, I love that you know that.
So, all right. So so we touched on it slightly, but we were talking about kind of the high stress environments of the music industry and work life balance and that kind of thing. So how do each of you handle stress and working through it?
I'll use someone else go. I don't even know how to answer that question.
I can answer for me. Like, basically, I do a lot of meditation and mindfulness stuff now and exercise. And I started indoor like bouldering, which is pretty good. So stress wise, that helps a lot. And also kind of reframing, like Claudia knows how much I used to stress. She sort of felt that, I can tell. She's always like, calm down, man. But like, it's true.
It's true. It's so totally
Yeah.
true.
But I guess some of stress is one of the things, or anxiety, I guess, is one of the things that sort of characterize how I was or am, or whatever you want to call it. But I guess the things I've been learning in therapy is basically how to reframe how I view things, I guess, and also learning how to communicate with people more effectively, and also making boundaries. I always had a big problem with being like, no, I don't want to do that. I want it to be this way, because I'd be afraid of, I don't know, people not liking me or being shitted off with me or whatever. But when you don't do that, you end up kind of just pissing everyone off anyway, and it doesn't work, sort of thing. So yeah, I guess that's kind of how I'm sort of moving along with the stuff. Yeah, if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it does. It actually leads to another one, which is, so with boundaries and telling people your boundaries, especially with music and playing gigs, did you get asked to do a lot of things for free for like exposure? Is that still something that happens, and how do you work that out and go, no, that's not how it works, or how do you manage that?
It's still a bit like that, really. Like for original music, anyway. I know some of the guys in West End like do. I'm not really playing. Well, I'm not playing with these particular guys yet, but they do sort of improv stuff and play at a bunch of venues and obviously get paid. How well, I don't know, but for just purely original gigs, I don't know. Put it this way: my brother in Edinburgh, he's played in like the biggest venue in Glasgow with his hardcore bands the other week. Fucking insane. Like they were first on, but first gig ever, played the biggest venue. It's fucking awesome. He's really good, but like amazing that he got this opportunity. But they just put it that way, like 4 guys, and they got paid £100 for the biggest venue in Glasgow. Between sorry,
£400 each or together?
No, like 100 between them.
Oh no.
That's what I mean. Like with original music, it's unless you sort of get past a certain threshold or are very clever with advertising or marketing or merch, I guess. I don't know. Even still, it's really kind of, you're not unfortunately really going to get paid properly. Would you guys agree with that? Like,
Oh, totally, dude. It's something that Kenny Beats actually said really well. He's an American producer who works with people like Denzel Curry and stuff. But he was saying like it's not enough to write good music anymore in this day and age, because you know the internet's oversaturated. We have access to everything. It's like if you want people to, you know, find you and to actually give a shit about what you do, you need to pull them in with more than just the music being good. Like you need an actual experience. You need something like, you know, like the background tapes of like you making the tune itself, and that also being a thing that like draws people in. It's like what you know, Molly was talking about to us in terms of like, you know, being more like on top of our like social media stuff and whatnot, because it's like actually tragically important at the moment. I promise I'll send you those media materials soon, by the way. I've just been really busy.
What about you, Claudia? Have you been asked to do things for free and work for free?
I mean, I think it's very rare that you will find a musician who's starting who doesn't have another form of payment on the outside. Unless they're like super young and their parents just help them out all the time. But you will always have, you have to find something else to do it. But yeah, I think I've had a few pubs and things say, oh, well, you can, and they only want you to do covers. You can do a gig here and we'll give you like $100 and then the rest you can have in food or something like that. But nothing too crazy.
Yeah, well, that's good. And so when you're making music, how do you feel? So I kind of want to move on to, you know, your actual processes now, and talking about what kind of trigger and memories does music give you when you're in the process of making or, you know, singing?
Well, I've been singing since I was 5. My parents got me singing lessons. I remember my mum, because I was just getting this singing lessons from this lady for fun when I was 5 up until I think year 8. And then when I was in year 8, my mum took me to this lady who was actually like, she was a professional and she cost a bit of money. And my mum took me there and just said to the lady, right, listen to her sing, tell me if she's good or not, and then we'll make the decision. And then I just sang for this lady. She goes, yep, I'll take her on. And then I was with her all the way up until I went to the con. Yeah. So what was the question again?
What kind of memories does music trigger when you're like in the process?
Yeah, so all of that. Singing. And then she was awesome, this lady. She was always getting me concerts and doing little gigs. I remember I did this 15 minutes of fame thing because I'm from a really small country town where nothing happens. So it's very difficult, to try and find things like that. But this lady, I reckon if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah, wow. And what about you, Zane? Where is your head at when you're creating and making music and in the process of playing?
Depends on the day. I mean, insofar as the memory stuff you were asking about, like, I mean, it's been like proven scientifically already, I think, hasn't it, that like, you know, music and memory are literally quite intimately linked with one another in the brain, based on that whole you know, some like real old person with like Alzheimer's or like full on dementia or something, like like fully just not functional, but then like they hear their favorite tune from like the 1930s or something, and then like they start humming along and then they start remembering shit all of a sudden. Like it's intense, you know. I don't know, man. I got brought up on like I got like a lot of exposure to like Buena Vista Social Club when I was like real young. So like before I learned how to read, back when letters were just random symbols and stuff. Because my parents needed we were trying to run their own business and they needed music that was like super like anyone could listen to it, because, and you know what I mean, it's just like it's so good that it's just like, you know. And Buena Vista is totally that. Like you'd have to actually be mentally deranged in order to like listen to Buena Vista and not like it. You know. And so yeah, it's like every time I put that out, like their album on, it fully just like makes it makes me feel like I'm 4.5 years old again. And as for the writing process, man, a lot of different things. I've often like put myself deliberately into very like emotionally extreme states of being, whether that be like anger or jealousy or whatever. And I just really like try and live that shit, and then I just pen it all down, you know what I mean, and try and like work it out of me. I don't know if that's kind of like literally like excising the demons from my body, or if it's more like I'm just like damaging myself emotionally by like working myself up into a state just so I can write something a bit intense.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I don't know. I'm not a bloody like psychiatrist therapist type person. I don't know how that shit works, man.
No, but you have to recreate the emotion to then repeat the performance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess. And it's like if I'm not trying to create that kind of thing for myself, it's probably already there. In which case, that's when like the slightly munted stuff comes out. But yeah. My goal is to just like be clever or impress people with something clever, then I never end up actually writing enough to like completely 100% like gobsmack every person on the planet, you know? Like someone's always going to hate what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that me or is that
to impress yourself? Yeah.
I think your internet is starting to chug a little bit. So
I got a little notification just then saying that that my internet had been like fully SCO mode or something. I don't know. Is that a verb for things not going?
Perfect timing.
Yeah, that's a great moment.
Yeah, if it gets like super bad, let me know. I'll try like disconnecting and reconnecting or something.
Cool.
So we have talked a little bit about it, Zane, we talked about it with you, but Jeremy, and Claudia, what kind of music are you listening to at the moment?
Oh, okay. I have lots of. I'm not as adventurous as these guys. I'm very into the now. Mostly because you kind of have to be when you're doing with the Australian curriculum at the moment is very much all about analysis. And no offense, but my Beanley kids suck at analysis. And so I've had to try and like be really creative with that. And one of the things that when we analyze songs, like you have to do it to the stuff that they're listening to, or otherwise they're just not gonna want any part of it. So I'm actually obsessed with Camila Cabello at the moment and her Don't Go Yet song.
I wanted to talk about your next single that's coming out, the Maria the Prophet. And if you want to tell me all about that.
Yes. Maria the Prophet. So I'm pretty like I don't know. I have like the Australian education system was pretty shit for me. A bit of a square peg in a round hole, or round peg in a square hole. I can't remember. But
Missy Higgins said it, right?
Sorry?
Missy Higgins.
Did she?
Yes, Scar.
How's it go?
Scar.
Go on, you can sing it.
Oh.
Triangle trying to squeeze into a circle.
Triangle
right?
trying to squeeze through a circle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm literally just Missy Higgins lyrics on legs.
Missy Higgins is so good though. Her new stuff that she's come out with, so good.
Oh, dude, she's dope. She's a full-on OG, man.
She went through a whole bunch of circles, man. She was like, I'm straight, now I'm a lesbian, now I'm straight again.
Hey, like, at least we live in a world where she can do that.
Exactly.
Or at least we live in a part of the world. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We live in a part of the world where she can do that. There are still parts of the world where that would get you killed.
Shit.
And so Maria the Prophet, where did that come from?
Oh yeah. Cause Australian education sucks. basically that's pretty. It's really that simple, to be honest. And then I think that's right. No, also so I don't know. Do you know what? So basically, I came up with the answer to world peace. This was like a while ago, right? I was pretty baked, but I came up with the answer for world peace. And it still takes me about 2 hours to explain, so I won't get into it now. But I was explaining that to someone, and then they were like, you do realize that everything you've just said to me is pretty much just the Montessori system of education, because my theory is largely that like the answer to world peace lies quite solely in like early education. You know what I mean? And handling that whole process significantly better. And then I, did a bit of a deep dive on Montessori and stuff. And yeah, it's literally just like this one Italian woman was like, I'm gonna solve world peace because Hitler sucks, basically. Like we're talking like that era, and or before, I can't remember, but yeah, anyway, and so I was like, oh well, damn, okay, this is just another example. If you can't come up with anything, everything I come up with has already been made by someone. It's so annoying. Like even when I, and it's worse because it's like if I was the first one to come up with that, then I could spread it. But like if someone's already come up with all of it and then spread it and it hasn't like fixed the problem yet, you know what I mean? Then it's probably not. It might not, likely won't be fixed in my lifetime. It sure as hell won't be. So, it's kind of also depressing, but, yeah, Montessori's great. Check it out. It's not like, I thought it was going to be like Steiner, you know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, cool. Like bugger off, like alternative education.
Did you go to a Steiner school?
Yeah, I did for a little bit. It was shit. It was absolute dog shit. Although I do know how to knit now and I can play a recorder. So, no joke. Like those are skills that I retained from Steiner School for what good it did me. I can knit a scarf.
Can you knit like Maria the Prophet scarves?
Yeah, that'd probably be the most gangster thing I could do, to be honest, as a rapper. Is
like, our little, like yeah. Oh my god, I've got a best idea. Okay, so you can like have your single picture of like you knitting maybe, and like this long ass scarfy thing that's like coming off that you've just knitted, and then your little album cover can be like fuck Steiner.
Yeah, dude, something like that would be pretty cool, honestly. I mean, to be fair though, like my knitting is like I drop more stitches than the American government does bombs, like,
Oh, nice.
And that's probably one of your lyrics somewhere, is it not?
No, I just came up with that, actually.
That's really good.
And so Maria the Prophet is tell me more about it. Is this?
Well, I'm grieving for the fact that like my education experience was so shit and so much of my time was wasted. So many adults and people in positions of authority lied to me about what I would need to know in my life, what was important, what I should spend my time on and what I shouldn't. And the vast majority, if not close to all of them, were full of shit. Absolutely full of shit. I have been abused by fucking teachers who don't know how to do their jobs properly. Was not my, like, none of my, you know what I mean? Like, it's absolute garbage. Like, I have just copped, like, way too much shit, and it's all like this. I hate to be that guy, but the system truly is fucked. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's just utterly messed up. I mean, and I hear it's getting a lot better now. Like, I saw this thing on Facebook of like ABC was like, what do you think should be included in the Australian curriculum? And I like very saltily commented on their thing of like, well, for a start, I literally just commented like sexual consent. Like, just that. Because that wasn't included in my education. You know what I mean? Thankfully, it's not something that I didn't need to be included in my education.
That
but
is
like,
100% included in
it is now, but it wasn't when I went to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes you feel old, doesn't it? When
but
you can finally start saying that wasn't in
Zane,
when I.
Now in the education department, like with all the people that I work with, and I've only ever worked in one school, so I can't speak like.
No,
crazy.
I understand.
But I honestly do believe that now there are a lot of people out there trying to like change it, because and all of these people that I work with, like all the older people, they're like, when I went to school, it was so shit. Like, I got hit, I got abused, I don't even remember what I learned, I don't think it was accurate, blah blah blah. And now I honestly do believe like people are trying. People are trying.
Oh hell yeah, dude, 100%. I mean, like, I look, not that it's really gonna like achieve that much, me just like sitting in a booth like writing rhymes and bitching about it, but like, you know, it's still like what do you say, like, I don't know, at least a mediocre attempt on my behalf at like picking a hill to die on when it comes to this sort of thing. Like, you know, it would be nice to see some change, and I don't mind like creating lyrics about that in order to try and see it happen.
Yeah, and also that relates back to one of Molly's questions about how does writing help your mental health and progress.
Kind of help, yeah, it can kind of help you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's channeling and inventing like a certain, you know, mindset.
Yeah, that's a nice way of thinking about it, actually.
Can definitely hear like significant passion in Zane's rap. Sure, it's actually like, it's quite, I vibe off it, you know. Yeah, it's really quite fucking cool. So, yeah, it's a pretty meaningful process for me, like finally kind of getting my ability to do that sort of thing just on a technical level up to the point where it can actually kind of meet that intensity of emotion, you know what I mean, and that passion, because like the passion's there, I'm just bringing up the, you know, everything else to kind of meet it. But yeah, that's been like a really good process for me, because the more accurate you can make music to like what you're feeling and what you want to express, like the more cathartic that whole process is.
Yeah, and is your goal with this to make people feel the same, or is it to change their minds? Like, when you're what's the end goal here?
So you've got me kind of in two minds when it comes to that question, because like on one hand, my conversational ethos, I guess, when it comes to particularly heavier topics, is that I don't go into those sorts of situations wanting to expressly just change the mind of whoever I'm talking to. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's and this is probably something I should think about more often in retrospect when it comes to writing like lyrics and whatnot and bars and stuff like that, is not so much like, the goal is never to just forcefully change someone's mind. It's to ask them questions. It's to get them to ask themselves questions that have difficult answers. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's that classic thing of just the only person who can really like help you is yourself, and the only person who can truly change you often is yourself. You know, we can get horrendously inspired by other people, but at the end of the day, we still have to synthesize all of that into our own internal world and then make the decision ourselves to make changes based upon that, you know? Yeah. So it's like, I would love to write something that is so good that it's that influential that someone like internalizes it and then uses it as ammunition to create change in their life. Yeah. But I wouldn't hold myself ultimately responsible for them doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That would be intense, but awesome, I think.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it, like I said, anything can be put into such an extreme that it suddenly becomes negative. Like, you know, when there was like those black metal bands or something that were just like making music that they liked, and then, you know, because I can't remember what happened, but some some idiots went and did something like horrific. I don't know if they like went and did like a shoot up, or if they like, what happened, you know what I mean? I can't remember. But something bad happened, and then obviously the news grabbed a hold of that and was like, you know, oh, they were listening to this band at the time and around that time, and then tried to hold the band responsible for the actions of these people, you know what I mean? Saying that their message was like somehow like, you know what I mean? It's like I said, boom, you know, all of a sudden that really noble ideal of like, I want to create influence in someone's life, all of a sudden that is like the last thing you would want in that situation was to like, you know,
like someone to take it and it be an anthem of hate or something.
Yeah, sorry, I'm giving you like the Slavoj Žižek treatment at the moment, of just like, you know, like there's so many extremes, and anything is capable of being so bad that there's just no point to anything at all. But
It's heavy. That is heavy.
Yeah.
But you're right though. Do you remember some of those school shootings in America like a while ago? And I remember Marilyn Manson. I think it was.
Yeah, I was thinking of those as well.
true,
Yeah.
okay.
They were listening to some, I liked it. Basically, the media were trying to portray it as like, oh, these people listen to these horrible satanic metal bands, and these bands are terrible, blah blah. Sort of
Same
Yeah.
with like video games, violent video games.
yeah, that too.
And like anyone in their right mind can agree that the actual connection between those two things, and like any level of responsibility being on like one side for the actions of another, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous, and we all know it's ridiculous. So I guess like, it would be really nice if anything that I or we as a group did created like positive change. If someone listened to like me like complaining about how crappy the education system is, and then they happen to be in a position of power to change that, you know what I mean? Like some kind of education board member or whatever for a state, and they were like, oh, okay, well, like, why don't we like have a think about, changing our curriculum in this way? And then it'd be like, oh, hell yeah, And if they cited Jabberwock Collective as, I was listening to their music and it really made me think. But therein lies the point again. It made me think, not they, made
They
me.
forced me to think it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do like that the lyric writing has hit some kind of heavier topics and like meaningful topics. And I have had a few people say to me, "Oh, that's actually really cool." They've listened to a few.
Really? Oh, hell yeah, man.
So it's cool.
And so for future, is it still going to be, are you going to continue with the heavier kind of topics and the darker, mental health and that?
I would like to explore happier stuff. Like it's just man, I don't know. It's like I kind of flip from one thing to the other and live a life of extremes. So it's sort of hard for me to say what I'll be doing from one thing to the next. So if you catch me next month, I might be like, yeah, I want to just like hop on about how great, X, Y, Z is. And Jeremy will be like, no, I'm still interested in like mental health stuff. And, I don't know, like, yeah. But like that's just a symptom of ADHD. I hyper focus on like random stuff periodically. You know what I mean?
I understand. And so for Jabberwocky, in general, what's happening kind of next?
We've got a few songs kind of coming together. Zane and I have got most of one done, and we've got a couple of others. Claudia's going to chuck some lyrics too.
I fully thought you were calling me about that today, dude. I was like, like when I got back, I picked up my phone and was like, oh, Jeremy called me and was like, oh, he must want to talk about Recluse.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll give him a call back and we can talk shop about that for a bit. And you were like, dude, we're doing the interview. And I was like, oh, I thought that was on Sunday. And you're like, it is Sunday. And I'm like, not again. Oh.
What day did you think it was?
I thought it was Saturday today, dude. And I was so positive about that as well. Like, it truly was Saturday. I feel like I believed that so hard that it might still be Saturday down here. And it's just like,
Are you at the moment, Zane?
Sorry, am I deaf at the moment?
Are you teaching?
Am I teaching? Oh, no, not at the moment, no.
That's why, because you're just like living life.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty.
I'm like that when I'm on school holidays. I'm like, what day is it today?
Yeah, I've lost like thousands of dollars in teaching work to the pandemic, dude. Yeah, I think so. But like, you know what I mean? Like it, and yeah, but so at the moment I'm not, yeah.
I have so much to say about that, but I'm not. We can talk about it another time when we're safe.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, look, I've got my first vaccine booked for tomorrow, so.
Oh, cool. I'm nearly fully vaxxed. I'm getting mine in like my second one in 2 weeks.
Ooh, nice.
Prepared for a really sore arm.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't sleep on mine the night I got it. I couldn't sleep on that side of my whatever it is.
I was really sick on my first one.
Your first one.
First one, I was really sick. My second one, I already had a cold, and it didn't
get
make my
Pfizer?
cold worse, but I was just like sick.
Yeah, that's right. You said that. Hey.
Which one did you get?
I got Pfizer.
Oh yeah, okay.
Dude, I called it P Pfizer for the longest time
Holy
before anyone told me. No joke. Also, you know what? Actually, I can one up that already. No joke. For the first 2 weeks of being introduced to the term like WAP, someone actually convinced me that it meant worship and prayer for like 2
Oh
weeks
my
before.
god, that is so good.
No joke. I'm not kidding.
That's a lot better than what it actually means, though.
I'm so fucking gullible, dude.
Oh my god, I love that though. It's so appropriate, especially around like certain people. You could be like, no, like church is love. It's fine.
Dude.
In terms of musical direction, I am kind of feeling like Maria is kind of, I don't know, like maybe the vibe. Not that everyone's gonna sound the same, but I feel like that's the vibe. For me, that really clicked because Zane taps into like I'm very groove oriented, and he's like, "Oh, try this out," and it just for me, I'm just like, "Yeah, this is sick," sort of thing. So I reckon maybe more.
My boyfriend doesn't always like some of the stuff that we do because he's very mainstream and he's not adventurous at all in terms of music. And I played him the song and he goes, "This is the best song you guys have done. I can listen to this song."
Yeah, I think I said the same thing to Jake when he sent it to me. I was like, yeah, I feel like something clicked with that kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean the process was literally just like because I remember the all right, man, it's so hard to like describe music using human words sometimes. I wish I was back home in Andromeda.
You
but
can
like
use sounds, it's fine.
yeah, but like in the the opening bit that's like dun 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 dun, dun whatever. Like because I remember because me and Jeremy kind of collabed on Maria, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember trying to transcribe your piano part.
But yeah, and it's like me, in my adult life recently, I've been going down the more kind of like sweep the jazz under the pop rug kind of approach, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to like really explore like the whole less is more avenues of music and you know, like earworms and like beauty and simplicity and shit like that. And so yeah, it's like I kind of like threw a bit more of a commercial kind of groove at Jeremy, and then sort of like he turned that into like you know what I mean? Like he applied the Jeremy to it. It was sort of like
we need to come up with a term for that because at my school, like they're being leified.
True.
So now you have to come up with a term like Jeremyified or something.
Oh wait, what's your middle name, Jeremy?
It's Paul. I don't know why I don't like it, but
what is it?
Paul?
Oh, Paulified. Woo!
Paulified. Say it in a Kiwi accent because I'm from New Zealand. Paulified.
My brain's working at like 1,000 miles an hour at the moment, trying to come up with something real clever. But like, I think the tank's running a bit dry because I've only had like at best maybe an hour and a half of sleep. So
you can workshop this later.
Yeah, give me time to brainstorm that later, and we'll come up with something.
I do kind of feel like what you said about sweeping the jazz under the layers, kind of thing. Like you know how you're saying like Ben liked Maria better, right?
Yeah, because he's not. You know, he's a bricklayer.
Well, it's like this. The music's still cool. It's just kind of like less
noticeable. Yeah,
which is kind of, I think, good.
Well, yeah,
I'm not saying that the other way was wrong, but I think it just kind of
all about this is the musical journey.
Yeah.
I'm all about like going through like an actual. I personally love to see a band that has like good progress. You know what I mean? Their sound changes a lot. Like I think bloody hell, I might be a bit wrong on this, but potentially a good example of that might actually be Fall Out Boy, dude. I unashamedly love Fall Out Boy. Like,
I don't mind Fall Out Boy.
They write the catchiest music, dude.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
100%. Like, but you know, like, so I'm always happy to like try something new, which is why when Jeremy's like, oh, do you want to rap in 3/4? I'm like,
Sure.
I mean, I don't know if I can, but there's only one way to find out, you know? Like, I like it. It's new. But in terms of like time sig changes and like, you know, jazz harmony and all of that stuff, I really get off these days on like sort of people listening to it who aren't into all of that shit and being like, yeah, this is really cool, and having no idea that like some really like sort of esoteric shit might be in there. You know what I mean? The kind of stuff that like someone who is interested in jazz and whatnot will listen to and be like, holy crap, dude, there's actually like, this song doesn't sound like it, but there's actually something really like neat going on in here, you know?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff's really cool.
Yeah, so
I don't know if that's more like the Charlie Puths of the world or something, but like, you know.
No, I like that. So it's giving a nod to the people who know or might hear what it is because they've got the background, and then for everyone else who has no idea, it's an awesome beat.
Yeah, and I don't know if that comes off egotistical or if that comes off kind of cool, but I hope that I seem really cool to everyone right now.
It's definitely cool. But like when I like teach songwriting to my kids, if you look at all of the top artists who are making billions of dollars, they're writing shit that is literally four notes on repeat. Because people like simple. They don't like the crazy things that they can't understand or figure out. So when you listen to Zane's song, immediately they're hearing the simple bass riff on repeat, and they're like, that's catchy, that's a hook, I like that, I'm going to keep listening. But they don't know that there's all this crazy shit going on underneath it because they're too busy listening to the simple thing that hooked them from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
That's actually like a perfect way of putting it, and it's amazing what you can get away with, because that's why I like it so much. It's almost like a game of like hide the jazz, you know what I mean? Did you ever play like,
we could totally start a thing.
I like it a lot.
Hide jazz. Zane, did you just come up with that, or is that something that you've heard?
No. I didn't come up with like. So I thought of it just now, but like in all fairness, I was kind of thinking of like how in hospitality with your coworkers and stuff, when they're going on their breaks and whatnot, you're like, it's, you know, you always play like hide the pickle or like hide the jalapeno or something, you know. They order like their burger for their break, and then you like slip a pickle in there and like without them realizing or some shit like that.
Speaking of slipping pickles, that intro riff to Maria is one of the most dissonant intro riffs I've ever written. Nee-noo, nee-noo, nee-noo. It's really fucking dissonant, man.
Yeah, but
Tritones and shit.
Catchy, and that's you gotta find that. And that's the hook of the song, and that song's gonna go places because of that.
It's the pickle.
Pickle.
Pretty much, but yeah, I'm totally down to play more Hide the Jazz, dude. That's like my favorite thing at the moment.
I love it. That would be the next album cover.
Yeah.
Hide the Jazz. We could start an actual, like, we could change our band name to Hide the Jazz.
We could have like a whole comic book series set in like a dystopian world where jazz is fully illegal and made like not okay, and then you have to like, it's literally called Hide the Jazz, and we're like smuggling jazz across borders, dude.
That's so funny.
Love that. I mean, speaking of album and bands, there's a EP on the way. What's that called?
Is there?
Yeah, I haven't actually really spoken to these guys about it. So hello, there's an EP.
No, it's alright.
No,
Give me
basically.
1 second. I just have to go and my Woolies delivery guys turned up.
Cool. Why can't you take us with her? I want to meet this guy.
I want to see him.
Be like, hey, welcome to our interview.
That's a really good looking ute.
It is. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I've wanted a ute for a while now. Hey, you always need a ute. Like you never know that you need a ute until you need a ute. You know what I mean? And then you're like, shit, I wish I had a ute, dude.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
then
I
you
mean?
need a friend with a ute.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you have it, I literally like, dude, I was talking to this guy who was like, yeah, no, like I actually make money off my ute because people know I have a ute. And so it's like, I'll like, you know, just be somewhere and someone will be like, oh, you know, I'll give you $20 if you like ferry old mate's couch from like blah blah to fucking blah blah. And it's like, you know what I mean? You just, I want a ute, man.
Yeah.
I want a ute.
Yeah, so
With good clearance too.
I'm still that. A car ute.
Yeah, like a good ute with nice high clearance that you can like get over stuff with, you know. You know, utes are so good, dude.
I had a lot of jazz in the back of the ute.
Yeah, you could. Dude, imagine having a jazz ute, dude.
a roaming jazz ute.
Yeah.
I love that.
Crossbreed a Honda Jazz with like a like just any decent Ford.
Fuck yes, the jazz is perfect.
Dude.
And
A good Ford lasts forever, man. I've seen like Fords that are still running strong and they were built in like the bloody 80s and stuff, dude. Fords are good utes.
Sorry, we tangented again.
For a tangent, that's fine. Talk to me about your upcoming EP.
Okay, so my thoughts on this are basically after Maria, we'll have roundabouts 5 songs or so, and Triple J Unearthed is kind of disappeared for the moment. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's their website's up for maintenance or something.
Yeah, so Young Earth is down at the moment.
Yeah, so we've got our Insta and we've got all our songs on YouTube and we're using it that way, but I'm kind of thinking of getting the work so far and making just a little EP on Spotify so that we have it on Spotify and can kind of promote it that way, because Spotify seems to be the app to use, I guess. Yeah, so that's the plan at the moment.
Hell yeah,
Do you have
dude.
a name for it?
That I haven't actually thought of yet. Good. Brainstorm. Yeah, live brainstorm. What are we gonna communicate? Remember, we've got Wake Up, you and me, Free, Agnes, and Maria. I think will be on this one. So I don't know if we can like loop something through those songs that's relevant, but
Yeah.
I'll let Claudia give you the serious suggestions first.
yes, cool.
No, I'm not a on the spot
Name.
person. Ben is actually my my guy that figures out good combos. So I'll talk to him and then we can do like a poll thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, like I'm not really attached to anything attached to anything at the moment, so I'm pretty open as long as it sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's relevant.
Yeah, something relevant. I was thinking, even if we couldn't come up with anything else, I was thinking Free, just because Free is simple and sounds good, and it's the name.
Zane, what are your thoughts?
So like a couple nights ago, I was thinking, right? And I was like, you know, I've seen like, you know, people like do those posts of like, hey, look, we got like an AI to script its own like short 1 episode of a TV show or something, and it's really like disjointed and almost a little avant-garde or absurdist, and it's funny, you know, because it's like, haha, robot, get things wrong. And I was like, what about like what if we had like an AI generated restaurant menu? And I'm not fancy enough to do like actual AI stuff, so I just did my best estimation of a computer's estimation of a restaurant menu. But tell me if any of these kind of work for you. I'll just read off my menu I wrote. Grilled vegetables with promises, province of broccoli, steak without, vagabond flavored milkshake, sadness salad, poached freedom eggs, The pizza is plentiful. Prison chips. Spiral rice. Ecuador fiasco fricassee. Soup from a gun.
Oh,
The fish and mustard manifesto. Freshly picked devastations. Earthquake soup. Chef's proclivities. Wontons and world peace. And special feat. The footnote is see our selection of pastry made with newly printed venue licenses, taxes sold separately.
Oh my God, I love that.
I mean, we could use poached freedom because without the eggs on the end, like it actually sounds like, we're talking about freedom, but it's like poached. Like it's like we're not really living in a free world, really.
I'm with you.
I actually like poached freedom.
It kind of works with the whole, like the most recent couple of songs quite well.
I actually like it. Do you like it, Zane?
I think we need to keep the eggs on the end.
No,
I'm kidding. Gotcha.
What was the wonton one?
Wontons and world peace.
I kind of like that too.
Yeah, but free, Jeremy, you wanted to like keep the free.
Yeah.
But now, like poached freedom integrates a whole bunch of the other songs.
It does.
Ooh.
And then
It does work.
The artwork is just an egg, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I've already got it. I've already got the artwork. Like I'm thinking like I want to keep the like the Jabberwock dragon. I was going to use that and get what's her name, Megan, to do the artwork.
Yeah.
But if it's poached freedom, then we could have like, I don't know, the Jabberwocks in the cage and some rando like dude in a mask is like letting the Jabberwock out of the cage or some shit.
Oh, okay. So I've just watched. I just came from the pub because we were watching the UFC.
Oh hell yeah! Who was it? Who was on? What was the card?
Tyson Fury, and his name is the other guy. Tyson Fury is like the world champion at the moment, and the other guy, his name was. He's African American. He's got this like name that you definitely know he was African American. I don't know his name actually, but anyway, if you look on my Instagram, you can see like I waited for them to do the replays and stuff so I could like do my boomerang, and like, oh my God, he honestly ruins him.
Damn, dude.
But the African American guy comes out of his little thing
Like that?
fuck off. Comes out of his thing, walks onto the stage with like this mask that is like all glitterified and in the form of like I don't know, it's so cool. Like you could have something like that.
What?
You could use the mask. You're talking about the mask.
Okay.
A guy in the mask.
Yeah.
You're talking about the dragons in the cage and there's a guy with a mask.
Oh, right. I got you now. Okay. So the UFC fight is going to liberate the Jabberwock.
You could. Oh my God, you could. Okay, I'll have a look at some stuff. I'll send you what I mean. It looks really good.
That's cool. This is going to seem like we were like having mushies when the cover up, basically.
We'll have to direct people to listen to this and to get some clarification. What the hell is this about? But, all right. So to wrap this interview up, I wanted to ask some more fun questions. So we ended in a fun way, but I mean it kind of has anyway. But I wanted to know what is each of your superpowers, if you had one.
Okay.
For at once.
Well, I need to be real with you right now.
Yeah.
I have grown up a massive country person who literally only had cows as friends. And I'm not into any of the anime superhero. Like when you guys were talking about that thing before, that just came out, and Zane was kind of into it as well because
Matrix and anime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not into it. I don't even know what my superpowers would be because I never think about that.
Wow.
That's fair.
I'm thinking like, this is how I think because I've just been brought up on a farm.
Mm.
I think like, oh, it's 2:45. I'd be getting the cows in to get milked right now. Oh, it's 6:30. I'd be eating, like, I'm literally still thinking dairy and I'm not involved in that at the moment.
Okay, well, what animal would best describe your personality then?
I'm definitely a cow.
Oh my god, you said that. That's awesome. I love it.
I
I love it.
They're my spirit animals.
Yeah.
That or a dog. Ben reckons I was a wolf in a previous lifetime because I let the dog sleep on the bed and he hates it. So.
What about you, Zane? Either your spirit animal or your superpower?
I was gonna say on behalf of Claudia, but like I've also lived on a farm in my lifetime, so it's really not that estranged from me either. But it would be nice to have. Also, I don't think superpowers are as much fun when they don't come at the cost of something. You know what I mean? Like, I like it when it's more like Carnivale type shit. Like, you can heal a broken arm, but a whole crop field of corn gets absolutely decimated in the process. You know? So I don't know what the price would be, but I'd like to be able to get rid of feral pests in Australia. You know what I mean? And or like you know what I mean? Getting rid of every feral cat would be such a good feeling.
Is this like something you go out and do, or is this at the snap of your fingers?
Well, I reckon maybe it would be like through the process of like selectively empowering particular native species of animal in Australia. So like maybe we could have like full on like roid rage quackers that just like absolutely full on like shrimp punch cats into oblivion. Like, you know what I mean?
You
or
can't
like,
quokka. The quokka is like the most beautiful, unaggressive animal in the world.
yeah, they don't change in appearance at all. They still look cute and cuddly, but they could also like yeah, exactly. But like they could just full on like punch something like so hard or tail whip it and just decimate it like literally into like it down to the cellular level. Like
they're
that.
gonna have to swim as well. They're stuck on an island. Is the only problem.
Or like maybe quackers can like spit acid all of a sudden that just like melts through bones and titanium and shit, and then just like cats everywhere are like scared for their lives.
Do you hate cats or just feral cats?
Just feral cats. Just feral cats.
Cats.
People can have cats if they keep them inside. Totally fine. Or they can have them outside if they're on a leash or like, you know, somehow like kept on the property. There's like those roller things they put over the top of fences now, I think, that can like stop cats from getting out of a yard or whatever.
Yeah, and
but fact of the matter is they kill too many native birds. They just like,
you know, speaking of, my best friend works in like this place that's all about nature and everything, and her job is to go around to places they tell her to go to and literally set traps to catch wild cats. And then what she does when she finds the cat that's like been in the trap, she has to take it to like their little pharmacy type thing, and they do tests on it, and if it's got diseases they'll euthanize it, but if it doesn't, if the cat's all sweet but still looks like it's going to kill you, they take it to the bloody RSPCA and they rehome it.
Oh.
That's nice, but do they realize how many feral cats there are in Australia and how like that is in no way going to solve the problem as far as I'm aware?
Well, that's what she's doing. I don't know.
I mean, like, that's cool and noble and all, but like it almost reminds me a little of when I was like surfing online, right? And you know the whole like mouse plague in New South Wales? There were some people that were getting real pissed off about how that was being dealt with, and they were like, why don't they just rehome the mice? And it's like, are you serious? This is a joke. This has to be satire. Rehome the mice? There's fucking millions of them, dude. Like,
people have no fucking idea about anything.
Slickers, man.
All together.
If you put these people in that, and that you literally took them there,
yeah, they wouldn't last.
You live here for 1 month, they would die.
Yeah,
probably die.
100%, dude.
What about you, Jeremy? What would be your superpower or your spirit animal?
I was just thinking, like, kind of connects to a lot of stuff that we've been talking about, but basically it sounds like I'm robbing people of free will, but basically if I had a superpower that could, I could go up to ScoMo and force him to have empathy for other people. If you could do that to all the politicians and all the piece of shit people in the world, I think that would be a major contributor to social change and, changing things like how we deal with the environment and the planet and the education system and mental health and all of, people who are sort of up the top. Because unfortunately, those top positions are usually taken by kind of narcissists and, those sort of people. If it was sort of changed, then the world would perhaps be a better place, kind of thing. And
what if you did that to every single person? You know what? I want a superpower now. My superpower would be to make every person on this planet a decent human being.
Well, that's essentially what I'm saying, really. Honestly, yeah. It doesn't seem that hard, but yeah, it is.
See, the thing is, you would just about need a superpower to actually make that happen, dude.
Well, it is. You would. It has to be a superpower. It's basically mind control, I guess.
It is.
But yeah, the animal, I think I'm an owl.
An owl?
Yeah, one of those snowy owls that are kind of white,
I love those ones. They're terrifying.
Yeah, I saw one getting attacked by a crow, about 10 crows were trying to peck this owl out of the air.
Really terrifying. I had one swoop me in the middle of the night when I was walking my dogs.
An owl swooped you?
God!
I was walking two little dogs, and I was like, they're going to get eaten by this owl, but he came out of nowhere, and it was a big white one.
Owl or like one of those owls that Jeremy was saying?
It was one of the white ones with like the face.
Yeah. I just watched this video of them trying to like kill some other bird to eat its eggs.
Holy crap.
That's
I
scary.
didn't realize they were so aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you really want to be that owl, Jeremy?
I still want to be the owl. They look cool.
He's doing it for the looks.
We're trying to make people decent human beings.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But they do look pretty noble. Maybe I could be a nice owl. I don't know.
Horny frog owls are beautiful and quiet and timid.
Okay.
I mean, if you've got the superpower and you're an owl, you can be the nice empathy owl.
I could be the owl that swoops politicians and makes them have empathy. Or no.
I love that. Well, thank you guys for coming and being here and answering my questions. You guys have been all awesome. Thank you, Jeremy, Zane, and Claudia for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.